Right then, we're back, and we've got something that I think people are really going to want to see today. It's the new VFC AK74M gas blowback rifle in front of me on the desk. Apologies, we don't have the box here. I left the box at work because I couldn't be bothered to carry it. But we've got the rifle on the desk. To start with, I'm going to say the Zenitco grip obviously doesn't come on the rifle. In fact, let me grab the stock handguard. So that'd be the stock handguard. We've been messing around, checking some compatibility of parts like a Asura Zenitco replica scope mount and the Asura handguard. And I couldn't bother to take the rifle all the way apart and get it back off again to start the review. But here we are. So this is the first of the VFC AKs into the UK. I'm just going to check the light. In fact, let me go and get the light. There we go. I've added a little bit of light in so you can see a little bit better. But yeah, here we are, the first VFC AK into the UK. Now, the full batch for retail outlets is arriving this week, and people are starting to get their personal imports as well, probably in the coming week. So they're going to see a lot more around, but I thought we'd get this one on camera before they arrive. The box that it comes in is similar design to these boxes, but obviously much larger for the rifle. This is the box for the magazines. One magazine comes in the box, of course, with the rifle, and I got one spare magazine. At the moment, there is a shortage on the magazines, so I don't have more than 2 mags at the moment, unfortunately. But yeah, this is a long-awaited release from VFC. It promises a lot of things. It promises to be a better system than the current GHK series, so I'll let you guys be the judge of that. But if we start with materials, and we'll go from there, I guess. So I could save a lot of time here. Everything on this rifle that's supposed to be steel is steel, from the muzzle, the front sight, the entire outer barrel. It's one piece steel outer barrel, so it's very rigid. All the handguard retainers, the cleaning rod, the takedown lever, the trunnion, the sight, the receiver, even the bolt carrier, the top cover, the selector, the trigger, all of the internal components, the sling loops, and the butt pad, butt plate, are all steel. So everything you would expect to be steel on an AK is steel on this replica. It gives it some heft, although stock AK74M isn't actually that heavy. It's quite nice. The magazines are actually an aluminium casing made to look like plastic. It really does look like plastic too. And if I put it next to a real plumb mag, you'll see the plumb mags are obviously a bit shinier. But they've styled it very much on the real AK mag. Dimensions are almost identical. They've replicated the feed lips. It locks up extremely tightly, and it's very easy to find that position, which is something that's different to any other airsoft AK at the moment. Normally you find you're trying to find that front lip, and it's difficult. With the VFC, you just put it in as deep as you can, and it rocks and locks really tight. There's no real wobble. It certainly locks it very tight on mine anyway. The bolt has 2 settings, and it comes with a small piece in the box that allows you to short stroke it. In fact, where do I put the short stroke part? Let's find that for you. You can have a look, see what it comes in the box with. So, out of the box, it comes with obviously the magazine. It comes with this buffer piece here, which allows you to short stroke it, and it comes with your regular loading tool with a slightly different loading attachment on this one, and a safety sheet. Does not come with an instruction manual. The instruction manual is a 3D barcode on the box that you scan, it downloads the instruction manual for you. Ordinarily, of course, it comes with that red and white VFC sticker that instantly come off, because that's the first thing you should do when you open a VFC rifle, is take that sticker off. It pains me to see people showing a rifle with those stickers still on. On the AK, because of the textured nature of the stock, it comes off really easily with no residue, at least on mine anyway. We also got this piece of tape here that protects the rifle from being scratched by the selector, because it will scratch the selector marking as it does on the real rifle. I'll try and remove that. There we go. That has left a little bit of residue, but we'll clean that off later, that's not a problem. Just use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol and that'll come off nicely. A little bit of thumb power. So we'll take that off, and it also comes with another piece of tape on this side where the stock latches in the folder position, again to just prevent damage when the gun is new, but we want those marks to wear in. The entire rifle is covered in a slightly texturized finish, very similar to the real one, maybe a little bit more texturized, but it certainly feels very hard wearing for a change, which VFC paint is normally known for being a little bit weak. On this, it certainly feels pretty solid, and you can see I've had the scope mount hammered on here, and it's made no marks on the finish on the scope mount, despite it being a metal scope mount. I've had to tap into place, so that's very good. The plastics actually have really decent quality, and they've replicated some of the marks on there as well. Everything's just fit very, very solid. The stock lockup is very, very solid. The button is very smooth. The release button for the stock is very smooth, and again locks in place nice and solid. If we take a look at the top cover, now one thing I will say is we know where the hammer and sickle came from in the Soviet Union now, because the one thing I would advise you getting if you get one of these AK rifles is a soft mallet, to be able to like tap on your accessories and things like that, because it is very tight fitting and does require some tapping sometimes for the scope mount, especially I've found. Your selector is on safe currently, and when it's on safe and the hammer is lowered, you can't charge the rifle either. If you chamber around and put the safety catch on, you can move the bolt carrier, but obviously you can't pull the trigger. Then down, auto, and all the way bottom to semi-auto. Removing the top cover can be very stiff, so we'll try and do this on camera, should be fun. Push in your recoil rod and lift up. I found that it had to be wiggled. As I've done this a few times, that's come off a lot easier this time. But first couple of times it can be very, very stiff indeed. The receiver is of real length, so it doesn't have that extended receiver that you get on the AGs or on the GHKs. It is of a real length, and as a result these top covers are real size. They're not, an AEG one is longer. I'll try and show you that in a moment. Also, we've noticed that the barrel on this is 1/2 inch or 18mm shorter than all of my other AK74s, be they ENL or GHK, and that's because VFC actually replicated what we found in the last 12 hours to be the actual length of the barrel, which is a little bit shorter than airsoft replicas have traditionally shown. To remove the bolt carrier, we push forward on the recoil rod and remove the recoil parts here. So there's your spring guide and recoil assembly, and then take the bolt carrier, pull it to the rear. This I do find very fiddly, and I find the easiest way is to actually move the nozzle to this notch, lift it up. As I said, this does get easier, but as stock, especially trying to do this while on camera, is actually very stiff. As we said before, the bolt carrier group is steel. The piston seems to be a stainless steel. It doesn't seem to be aluminium, but it's not magnetic. It does appear to be a stainless steel that they've used, which further adds to the weight of its carrier. It doesn't feel too heavy in the hands, but it is a heavy carrier. Your nozzle assembly replicates the locking surfaces of the bolt, which is something that airsoft replicas don't normally do on the AKs. But it's very nicely machined. The one thing that people are noticing is that this very edge here of the bolt carrier group does peen a little bit when it's new on the trunnion here. Don't be alarmed by that if you see it. That is literally just peening to the point where it is settling against the receiver correctly, and then the peening will stop. You could file away the flash if you really wanted to, but it doesn't actually impact the rifle at all. It's just the self-adjusting nature of the fitments. These rifles, unusually for VFC, do come extremely dry. I have not yet added any lube. I wanted to film before I put any lube onto it, and unusually for VFC it comes extremely dry out of the box. Normally VFCs are very, very wet. If we look at the trigger group, hopefully you can see. Let's bring this light in actually. So, if you look into the trigger group, you'll see they've replicated the trigger group very, very well, including the wound piano cord style hammer spring. They've replicated the rate reducer, which is not required, and you've actually got the shepherd's hook holding in all of the pins. So they've done a fantastic job of replicating all of those parts in there. Obviously you can replace a pistol grip with a real pistol grip or any gas blowback pistol grip. The valve knocker is of the version 3 type, so solid one-piece stainless steel. One-piece steel. Your barrel and hop, you can see the hop assembly there, which is adjusted through the cartridge chamber. It's quite stiff, but it's all very, very solid, very nicely held in place. We've got your usual, let's see if we can see it on camera, usual blue VFC hot rubber. When I tested this the other day, it was lifting threes very easily out of the box. In fact, it was over hopping them very slightly, but that's expected with a lot of the VFCs these days. Just put the light back. So yeah, they've done a really, really nice job of replicating all of the working parts, and everything feels very, very solid indeed. If we lift up the gas tube release, we'll take that piece of sticker off there as well, because there's another one there, look, which has left the backing behind. Wonderful. We'll get the remainder of that off with some isopropyl in a moment. You can take the gas tube off. I'm not going to take it all away because I can't bother, to be honest with you, but it comes off the same way as any other AK gas tube. Again, the rear sight is all steel. It is very, very nicely put together indeed. Very impressive how VFC have done this. Internally, as I did mention, from the outside, everything in the fire control group that is meant to be steel is steel. The selector, they appear to have no, everything in there is perfect. Yeah, all totally steel. I assume you could use a real selector in this, but I've not tried because I don't have one handy. So we take the bolt carrier group. We'll grease this up later. Reinsert the bolt carrier group. Again, it can be a little bit stiff. I've found that pushing the nozzle back to that notch in the receiver there if you push that nozzle guide, the faux locking lug to match that as you get the bolt carrier in. This is quite hard to do from this angle, but there we go. There we go. So knock that back into the rails. The bolt carrier movement is very, very smooth indeed. If you want to put your short stroke buffer on, that is where you attach it onto the front of that buffer spring there. And we put the recoil assembly in. You can see the travel there on what I call full travel mode, which isn't true full travel because you've still got this required area on the bolt carrier for the cylinder for the nozzle assembly to give you your gas volume. Return spring doesn't feel too powerful, but it certainly returns the bolt happily enough, and in cycling, especially with the buffer. The magazine itself, you've got a dry fire switch on here, which currently is turned on mine, so I can demonstrate this to you. So if we insert the magazine, we'll insert the magazine fully because we can. Pull the bolt carrier to the rear. We'll cycle this a couple of times. Recoil pulse is very strong indeed, and it's actually almost as loud as a fallow, I would say. And if we turn that to auto, I don't have a lot of gas in this magazine, but you get the idea on that one. Take the magazine out. The magazines themselves hold safely up to about 40 grams of gas. I would say I would put about 30 to 35 grams of gas in there, and you can get around 300 shots in ideal conditions. You're certainly going to clear this 40 round magazine 3 times of reloading it with no issues. In cooler weather, obviously, you're still going to get a full magazine of ammo out of that really easily, even with the heavy steel bolt carrier and full travel. So that efficiency is absolutely fantastic. Something we've not really seen in gas AK before is amazing gas efficiency. So that's a nice change. Always make sure you relocate the top cover right into the notch, and then what I find is best is to just give it a palm slap. There we go. And then once that's located, I rack the bolt hard to ensure that engages into the slot. The back of the stock does have space for your cleaning kit, as well as the button release to unlatch it when you put it to the side. So that's the basics of the VFC gas blowback AK. This is not a review. This is an overview of the rifle as it arrives. What I'm going to do is I will grease it up, and I will take some shooting footage of it and upload it onto shorts and that kind of thing. Once I've actually put some proper gas into the magazines. I have shot it a little bit, but not a huge amount. It did seem very accurate out of the box, which is good. Which is what I found with the FAL and the FNC as well, and the G3 too. So it has performed very well in the few shots, I'd say, a magazine's worth that I've fired out of it. The range, when I tested the range, was insane. So it's very promising for use in game. We'll just see how it goes long term. One other thing that people have been discussing is that there's a slight narrowing of the receiver here after the valve knocker assembly. Some people are calling it a bend. It's not, it's a taper. The receiver tapers ever so slightly as it comes past this point, and it slightly narrows down towards the trunnion. It's not that the receiver's bent, is a natural taper in the design. You'll see that I have made a slight modification to the sling loop here. I've put some Gorilla Tape around it because the constant rattling whenever it picks it up was pissing me off, and eventually I'll find a way of either tightening this up or I'll probably use a dog sling, which will secure that down anyway. So the Russian dog slings, tactical decision slings, which probably you can't get a hold of these days, but they're designed for the Russian Special Forces, and they're very good slings to use with an AK, but it goes around here, so it will tighten that sling loop up. That's the only thing that rattles on this entire rifle, is that sling loop. As far as anything else that's been found by the community so far in regards to issues, we've found nothing. The stocks, for reference, are a 4.5mm pin. Obviously with the real spacing dimensions here. So if you do decide to change the stock, you can either use an airsoft stock that's got 4.5mm pin, but you'll need to shim out the space, or E&L stocks appear to be completely compatible. Comparing my E&L stocks to this, they're 4.5 and they have the correct real spacing here as well. Also, this stock latch is a non-ferrous material. We can't work out whether it's an aluminium or a stainless material at the moment. It's not magnetic, so hopefully we'll figure that one out soon. But yeah, there's the overview of the VFC AK74M as it's arrived into the UK. I wanted to give everybody in the UK a quick overview of it, and then we will we'll review it properly at a later date, so you can enjoy it more. Oh, it's a 280mm inner barrel, by the way. It only comes out to sort of here-ish, I guess. If you fit a longer barrel, you'll get higher power from the stock nozzle. I don't currently have an MPAS fitted in here. It's doing around 360 FPS when I tried it the other day on regular green gas in a relatively cool environment, about 17-18 degrees C. Obviously in warmer weather it's going to increase. I do have an MPAS to fit into it, I just haven't got around to it yet. I haven't needed it as yet, so I've left it in its stock form. But we'll give updates as this happens. I'll get some more shorts put out with some films, video of it firing, that kind of thing, with a proper filled gas magazine. And yeah, we'll go from there. I will do a quick comparison with a GHK magazine to show you the difference. The VFC is not compatible with other gas AKs on the market, and you can see the massive dimensional differences with GHK's overly chunky and square magazine. If we compare that to a real mag, you can see the VFC is extremely close to the real one, and the GHK is just big and chunky and Lego brick like. I think someone described it as being a Minecraft magazine, which is quite a good description. But yeah, so there we go. Quick overview of the new VFC AK74M gas blowback rifle. They are arriving for retail in the UK this week. Spare magazines are probably going to be in shortage until January 2025. And the rifles, you're not going to see many of them probably until January 2025 as well. But in my opinion, these work out at retail at the same price as a GHK. They are way, way, way nicer assembled, nicer materials, better system than the GHKs. None of the QC issues that we've seen so far from some of the GHKs, and far more realistic replica as well. We've obviously got that shorter receiver in real dimensions, and they've done a really nice job of it. But I hope you enjoyed this. Please let's have a discussion in the comments below. Please share the channel to people that you know and get them to subscribe. I'm really trying to grow. The channel's doing quite well, but I know I've been a little bit lax with it in recent months because I've been busy. But if we can grow it, the more I can go and put on the channel. There's still plenty of gas blowback products to put on here, which is the primary focus, and we'll get some more out there reviews up as well, some off the wall. I don't just want to do a lot of VFC and GHK. So let's go from there. Thanks again for watching. Take care and see you next time.